Okay, so this is the video for doing your project for Chapter 12. So what we've done is we've learned how to do histograms. We've learned about calculating mean, mode, median, which are measures of central tendency. We've talked about standard deviation and coefficient of variation as measures of dispersion. We have talked about z-scores, which are measures of position. And we have talked about box plots, which is also kind of a measure of position. And then we've talked about the normal distribution. So all of these things will be covered in this project. So I will have sent you a email which would look something like this, data for Chapter 12 project, with an attachment. So we click on the email and you see there is Chapter 12 project data. It's a text file. So a text file is just a simple file with the data in it. So we're going to download that, and we'll download it to save the file, and we'll say OK, and it should download to your downloads directory. So we'll get that in just a second. So that's been downloaded to your computer now. So now what we need to do is we need to open up, so that's the first thing, download the data. Second thing is upload the data into a Google Drive spreadsheet. So we need to create a Google Drive spreadsheet. So we'll go to this little box with the 9 little squares up here in the right corner, the apps, and we click on Sheets. So we're going to open up a new sheet, create new sheet. And let me just zoom in a little bit on this. So we're going to read in the data, upload the data. So to upload the data, you go File, Import, and what we're going to do is upload it. So you'll click Upload, and this is select a file from your computer. So you'll go to the normal menu. So we'll go to Downloads, and if you go by date, you should find the newest download. So if you click right here at date, it'll automatically order it. And if you scroll down, oops, what happened there? Scroll down, just below the folders. Okay, that's the old stuff, so we got to click it again. It'll get the newest stuff. So Chapter 12 project data. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for Chapter 12 project data. Should go to your downloads directory. Should be your most recent file. I did this on 4.7. So you click that and you go open or double click it, either way, and it'll upload the data. So it says create new spreadsheet, which we don't want to do. Insert new sheet, replace spreadsheet, replace current sheet. So I think we'll replace current sheet, because that way we won't have an empty sheet. And it says detect automatically. It's just a column of data. So then you go down to the bottom and you click this little blue button, which imports it. So you'll have the data imported. So what is this data? Well, I created this data set. It's if you flip a coin 100 times, how many times will it come out either head or tail? Doesn't really matter. So on average, you should get 50 out of 100 flips. I use this using random. I'll talk about it in class, so you'll have already seen this. So there are 100 data points between probably 35 and 60-ish. So the next step, we've uploaded the data, order the data from smallest to largest. So you'll click on cell A1, and then you'll highlight all the data. So you'll hold your mouse down, just highlight the data, go all the way to the bottom, which will be around 100. Okay, so you see it's highlighted blue. You go to Data, Sort. So you can sort the sheet or sort the range, and we're going to sort the range because we're only specifying a range. Sort by sheet would also work because we only have one column of data at this particular point, but we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so you can see the maximum value is 62, and if you scroll down back up, the minimum value is 39. Okay, so that's order. Now it says calculate the mean, the median, and the mode using fundamental concepts and using the built-in functions. So fundamental concepts is we use the equation that is in your book, not the built-in function. So we're going to put those, where do we want to put that? Let's put them right here, and you're going to have to enter the values in on your sheet. Now I'm going to give you slightly different numbers. So this won't be exactly the same. So there is some difference, but it's going to be very similar to this, just slightly different because I'll generate another set of data for you. But as far as, we'll put it in both places. We'll put it here. Let's actually put this in column C, cell C2. So we're going to write mean, median, and mode. And this is, we'll call this fundamental and built-in. So the mean is equal to, we add up all the data, so you write out sum equals sum, left parentheses, you highlight all the data, all 100 data points, put a right parenthesis, so that's sum divided by the total number of data points. Well, there are 100 data points, so we divide by 100, and it should be around 50. Okay, so I got to scroll back up to see it. So it's 49.77. So that's the median. I mean the mean. The built-in function is you write equals average left parenthesis, and then you highlight the data. We should get exactly the same number. So if you don't get the same number, you've done something wrong. So you highlight the data, right parenthesis, enter. Scroll back up so you see, get the same number. Now the median is the middle number. So what we're going to do to help us with that is we're going to create a column here with the numbers 1 through 100 so that we know. So we drag this. So let's go back. So what you do is you write 1 and 2, then you highlight both cells. See the little box in the corner. You move your arrow till you get the little crosshatch, and then you drag that. And what that will do is it will create numbers 1 to 100. So you show the pattern to start with, and then you just continue, tell it to continue. So you see I got 100. So that's my column of data from 1 to 100. So the median is the middle value. Now if you have an even number, which is what I do, you go to the middle. So you take 100 divided by 2, which is 50. And so the median will be the average of the 50th and the 51st data point. So it's going to be these two. Not surprisingly, it's 50. Okay. So the median, we'll do the calculation here because so if it was an odd number, say if it was 99 data points, we'd take 99. I'll take one less than 98 divided by 2, which would be 49, and add 1, so it'd be the 50th data point. But because we have an even number, we average the 50 and 51st data point together. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that equation in there. So it's equal to, and so we equal left parenthesis, and we add. So we'll scroll down till we get to the 50th number in the second column. Okay, so that's that. So we'll go click on cell A50. we'll add, then we click on this LA51, right parentheses. So that's adding those two together. To take the average, you divide by 2. So it's equals left parenthesis A50 plus A51, right parenthesis divided by 2. And if we go here, we see the median is 50. Now there's a built-in function, which is median. So equals median. You put the parenthesis, highlight the data that you're interested in here. Now it doesn't have to be in order to do the median. If you have data and you just want to find the median without sorting it, you can actually just put that in and it'll figure out where the middle is. So the calculation says same thing, 50. So this is the 50 and 51st entry value divided by 2. This is the equation. So the mode, you actually have to go here. And most likely it's going to be 50. So what you do is you scroll down and look around 50 and count how many entries. So we have 3 49s. We have how many 50s? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 50s. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 51s. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 52s. So how many 50s do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So actually we have 2 modes here, because 52 also has 8, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, actually 52's got more. So the mode actually is not 50. Let's just look back here. 49, 48. 48 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's count there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it has 10, 48, and 51 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 52 has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12, okay. So the mode is actually 52. And let's see if they do mode here. Mode. Okay, so we're going to highlight all the data and do a right parenthesis. And I push enter and I get 52. Okay. So even though the median is 50, the most common occurrence is 52. Okay, so that's the second part. Okay, well now it says copy the data into a new spreadsheet tab. So we highlight column A all the way down until we get all the data highlighted. And you could do edit copy, or you can do Control-C. Either one's fine. So actually you got to use Control-C. So we'll do Control, all that down, push C. Now that's copied. So we're going to create a new spreadsheet. So we're going to go down here to the bottom left and say Add Spreadsheet. And to paste, use Control-V. So there's the data again. Okay, it says calculate the mean, standard deviation, and coefficient of variation using fundamental concepts and using the built-in function. So let's insert a row. So you go with your cursor and you go over to row 1. You click on it, highlights row 1. And we're going to insert a row above. Just want to have, so column A is the data. Column B is the deviation. Column C is the deviation squared. Okay, so those are 3 columns. So in this case, we are going to put our mean calculation at the bottom, and we'll just use the built-in function because we've already done the other one. So let's just let's write here mean in cell B103, and so we go equals mean of the data. So we highlight the data under data points. Use the right parenthesis. So it's equals mean, left parentheses, A2 colon A101. Right parenthesis, enter. And something's wrong here. Why did it do that? Oh, because they don't know. We use average. Keep forgetting they use average. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so there's our average mean. So the standard deviation, what we do is we find the deviation of this 39 from the mean. So to do that calculation, we go equals, left parenthesis, 39, cell A2, minus, and we scroll down all the way down to the bottom of the data, and we click on the box that has our mean number. And we push F4. What that will do is put these little dollar signs so that number doesn't get indexed when we do the calculation. So we have A2 minus the mean value. We should enter, and we go up here. And so 39 is 10.77 less than the mean. And then the deviation squared, you just take equals, you take the deviation value, use a little hat, and then 2. So that's deviation squared. So we can then copy these. So we copy we highlight these two cells, go to the right-hand corner, and just drag it all the way down to the bottom. We get to the last data point, and then we let go, and it'll copy this whole thing. Okay. So there's the deviation squared. So if we add the deviations up, so if we add all the numbers in this column, so I'm going to say sum equals sum, left parenthesis, I'm going to highlight every piece of data, and then I use the right parenthesis. It should be 0. So when you add up all the deviations of each data point, you get 0. And we've already done this equation, so we can just copy it over, but I'll go ahead and we'll enter it in. So we'll get sum. These are the sum of the deviations, so you write equals sum, left parenthesis, and then add all. You highlight the data, and then you do right parenthesis, push enter. So this is the sum of the deviations. So let's write that, sum of deviations squared. So we're going to enter the standard deviation here. From fundamental principles and standard deviation using built-in function. Should get the same answer. So standard deviation equals square root of the number here, the sum of deviation squared, divided by left parenthesis, number of data points, 100 minus 1, right parenthesis again. So we had to use this parenthesis matches up with this one, and this parenthesis matches up with this one. Push enter, and we get 4.811297. So we go. Our built-in function is standard deviation, and there's a of the population of the. We can use any one of these. Population. This is the text gets 0. We don't want that, so just pick the regular standard deviation right here. Okay, so just STDEV and left parenthesis, and then you highlight the data that you're calculating the standard deviation of. And use the right parenthesis, so it should be equals STDEV, right left parenthesis A2 colon A101. And you see you get exactly the same number. So that's the standard deviation. Now the coefficient of variation, there's only one way to calculate that. I don't think there's a built-in function. And the coefficient of variation is just equal to the standard deviation. So we'll click on this cell, and then you put a slash mean, and then you multiply by 100. So it's a standard deviation divided by the mean times 100. So you get 9.6. So it's kind of like a percentage. The standard deviation is 9.6% of the mean. And well, let's see if there actually is a function. So coefficient. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so there's no built-in function. You have to actually just calculate that. So that is number 6. So you can write down the mean, standard deviation, coefficient of variation. Okay. So we're going to create another tab down here, but we're going to copy the data. So we're going to go up here and highlight all the data again. And then we use Control-C to copy. Go down to this plus to add a sheet. And we use Control-V to just copy the data again. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is the z-score. So let's insert a row up here, row 1. So we highlight, put a cursor right here in 1 number, and then go edit, actually insert row above. So this is the data, and this is the z-score. So the z-score is just the data value minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So we need both of those pieces of information. So let's actually do this. So we're going to say standard, we're going to say mean, and enter standard deviation. And we're going to put the values here. So we've already calculated this, so let's show you how you do this. You click in that cell, you go equals, and then let's go back to the previous sheet. So we're going to click on sheet 2 here at the bottom, and we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and we're going to click on that number and push enter. So this mean is 49.77. And then we go equals. We go to sheet 2 again, and we click on either one of these. Standard deviation, enter. So now we have the data on the next sheet. We don't have to redo it. So the equation for z-score is equals, left parenthesis, click here in cell A2, so cell A2 minus, click in cell E1, that's the mean, and we push F4 because we're going to use that number for every calculation. Right parenthesis divided by cell E2, which is the standard deviation. Push F4 to get those dollar signs in there. And that's it. So what they were doing is taking the value here, 39, subtracting 49.77, and dividing by 4.8. So we push enter, and we get a z-score of negative 2.23. So then we can copy that equation. So we click in cell B2, grab the right-hand corner, drag it all the way to the bottom of the data. Let go. And there you go. Those are the z-scores. So what does this mean? Well, the lowest number has the most negative z-score. The mean, which is actually not exactly 50, has a z-score closest to 0. And if you go down to the bottom data, the maximum value has a z-score of the most positive z-score. Notice these are how many standard deviations they are away from the mean. So this is 2.54 standard deviations more than the mean, and this is 2.2 standard times the standard deviation less than the mean. they're all within plus or minus 3 standard deviations, which is 99.7% of the data should be within that. So if you had 1,000 data points, only 3 should be outside of 3 standard deviations. So this makes sense. And because of the way I'm generating this data, it is normal. It is a very normal type of distribution. So we don't get extreme z-scores one way or the other. So rather than, if you said 43, what does that mean? But if you said a z-score of negative 1.4, you say, oh, well, that's less than the mean, and it's about 1.5 times less than the mean. So that's the z-score. While we're at it, let's figure out the quartiles. So the second quartile, well, we can do the minimum. So the minimum is obviously the smallest value. So that's the minimum. 39 is the minimum. If we go all the way to the bottom, we have the maximum. So 62 is the maximum. The Q2 is the same as the median. And remember what we did in a previous sheet is, we did was the put numbers next to this. So actually, let's go back to the one where we did that, which I think was sheet 1. So 50 and 51, the 50th and 51st data point were the average of those two is the median. So that's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 and 4 that direction. So let's go back to our data here. So 1, 2, so it's these two right here. So the median, I'll write Q2 here. So the Q2 is actually the average of these two. So that's second quartile. Now to find the, so I'm going to write that in here too. Q1, Q2, Q2. When I do it twice, it means it's in the middle here. So now what we do is we need to find the first quartile, which is going to be, there are 50 data points this way and there are 50 data points that way. So you have an even number again. So you take you divide this by 2, which is 25. So we'll go to number 25. And because it's even, we take Q1 is going to be the average of those two. So it's going to be Q1, that's going to be Q1. So it's going to be the average of these two, which in turns out to be 46. So let's go back. 46. So Q2 equals 50 because both of these are 50. And which numbers were these? So I had 45, 46, 46, 46. Okay. So let's go back. 45, 46, 46. So Q1 is 46. Q2 is 50. And let's go back to the spreadsheet again. So halfway between 50 and 100 is going to be 75. So we go down to 75, and this is going to be Q3. Q3, Q3, and you can see that's 53 is going to be Q3. So we start on the 1, 2, 3, 4th, 53 value. So we'll go down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So Q3 are these 2 points, the average of those 2 points, which is 53. So write those into your paper. Now you may not get exactly 53, or you may, I don't know exactly it. So if you get exactly the same number, that's fine. But so what we have is the minimum. I'd write down the minimum is 39. Q1 is 46. Q2 is 50. Q3 is 53. And 62 is the maximum. So those are, and from that you can do a box plot. I'm going to do a separate video on that. So I'm going to write those numbers down, and then when I do it, I will have it all ready. So what did I say? Max was 62. Q3 was 53. The median was 50. Q1 was 46. And the minimum was 39. Okay, so I have all that information. I can use that later. So plot box plot. Okay. Last thing. Copy all this data again to another spreadsheet. So I highlight it. And we go Control C. Go down to the plus. Add a sheet. Let's go ahead and put it in cell A2 just to make sure we have room. So A2 and then Control V. So there's our data. So step 11, copy data into new spreadsheet. Create a histogram for the data using the add-on discussed in class. Also, for future reference, we want to write down the mean, which actually we're going to use 50 as the mean for our step 13 calculation, and our standard deviation was for the previous spreadsheet is 4.8. So standard deviation is 4.8. Okay, we'll need that later when we do a 13. Okay, so let's go back to sheet 4. So this is for our histogram. So the histogram is a plot, and let's go ahead and make sure we know how to add. You go to add-ons, and I already have it, but you would go to Get Add-ons. Search item would be histogram. Push Enter, and you'll get this X minor analysis 2-pack. So you'll click on this. It'll say plus free. So you click on that, and it will download it to your computer. Okay. So once you have that, when you click Add Add-ons, you should have this Excel minor analysis 2-pack. But before we do that, so this is our data. We need classes. And the classes, we want to break this data up into at least 5 groupings, not more than 12. So if we write down the paper, we've got a minimum of 39. We've got a maximum of 62. So we can go by 2s, by 3s. So let's just assume we go by 2s. We start, if we put 40, that'll get numbers 40 and less. And then we go to 42, 44, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, and 62. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It says 12. 12 classes, which sounds good. So what we're going to do is, and I'm going to write this out just to be explicit about what's going on. Less than 40. 40 to 42. Actually, it's going to be 41 and 42. Then we'll have 43 and 44, 45 and 46. Since we have nice integers, 47 and 48, 49 and 50, 51 and 52, 53 and 54, 55 and 56, 57 and 58, 59 and 60, 61 and 62. So that's actually what we're doing, but the numbers we have to add in are going to be 40, 42, and then we just go by 2. So rather than just writing them out, I'm going to highlight these 2 cells, grab the corner, drag it down to there. And what this number represents is the top number. So this means 40 or less. This means 42 to just above 40. This is 44 to just above 42. And because these are integers, it's just going to can't find out how many 41s and 42s we have, how many 43s and 44s. So these are our classes. These are official numbers that we use. These are just for illustrative purposes to explain what these numbers represent. Okay, so I think that's all we need. We need the data and we need classes. So you go to Add-ons, Excel Miner Tool Pack, Start. So you end up with this thing on the right-hand side. And we want to use histogram. And just thought I'm going to add one more thing to this request. So we'll do this. Let's do this first, then we'll have one more information. So histogram. So you have to do your input range. So remember in class we have to highlight it first, and then we click. So I'm going to highlight all the input data, all 100 data points. So it's light blue, and then I click an input range, and there it populates it. Okay. The next thing we need is the bin range. So let's come up to the top, highlight these 12 cells, click in bin. Do we need labels? No. I don't think so. We want a chart output. Output range. So if you click that, and that's not what I wanted. Let's delete that. So I need to pick the output range. So what I'm going to do is create a new spreadsheet. So do the plus, choose the output range to be right here, cell A1 for the new. So click on that, go to output range. There it is. Actually, I'm not sure if this is going to work, so we'll see what happens. I may have to do it on the same sheet, so we'll see what happens, and then we'll fix it from there. Say OK. Okay, that didn't work, so we're not going to do that. Okay, so let's you've already done this. Let's just delete that, and we'll go back to here. Okay, so let's pick the output range to be right here. Actually, click it right. Yeah. So we're going to let's delete what we had there. Go to right there, and didn't want to have that happen. So let's try again. I'm just trying to pick one point here. Okay, so we clicked on that. Then we go here. It should be just one number, E2. Okay. So this is our input data. This is our bin range. This is these numbers. And then we want just this single cell, and it'll populate everything. We want the output, chart output, and that's it. We say OK. And we can go ahead and close this. So what it says, here are what we call bins or classes. In bin 1, there's one data point. It's this one right here, 39. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the next one, and so forth and so on. Let's find the graph. So here's our graph. Let's move that over a little bit. So we'll click on the graph. Notice it changes to a hand. So we're going to move that so that it's right next to the data. So there's our hand. We'll put it right here. So that's our histogram. And we're going to just do a few things with it. So let's edit it. So we're going to do this upper right-hand corner, advanced edit. So you can see here it is. So it's the right kind of chart. We don't need a legend, so we're going to go to legend and say none. That gets rid of that thing. And you see the mode is 52, which is what we saw earlier. Let's see what the I'm going to use Control minus to make this a little smaller. Okay, so you can see bin as the title. So let's go down to x-axis, horizontal axis. The title says bin. What we want is number of heads. Click on here to make sure that it changes. Number of heads. Frequency, which is fine. The title, let's change the title. So I think we have to go back up to the top here. So we'll say histogram of coin flips. So this looks pretty good. Histogram of coin flips, frequency, number of heads. This axis is a little may not be the best explanation. So let's see what we can do there. Let's go back to start. So it says use row 2 as headers. That's that number. Okay, let's go back to customize. Let's have the numbers at an angle so that they are. So we're going to go down to horizontal axis, slant labels. Let's see what happens at 30 degrees. So you can see now they're all lined up. So I like that better. I think that's fine. We could replace those numbers here, but we'll do that. And if you aren't able to do it, that's fine, but let me just show you what you do. So what we would do is, it's using these headers, these descriptors, as the x-axis label. So what if we take these descriptors, so I'm highlighting that set of data, doing Control-C, and then pasting it here, I get that. And you can see how the graph changes. It gets a lot more busy, but it is more descriptive of what's going on. So if you want to do that, that's fine. And also this more thing, we don't have any that are more, so if you highlight these two and you push delete, it gets rid of one of the data. It gets rid of that. So I think it's pretty good. So you got a histogram. I wonder why our title got messed up. Let's go over here again and fix this. So apparently I didn't save it. So let's go to advanced edit again, fix this. The legend, we don't want a legend. None. We want the title to be histogram of coin flips. And we want the x-axis title to be number of heads out of 100 flips. That sounds good. Okay, frequency, number of heads out of 100 flips. There's the title, looks good. And update, that's what I didn't do earlier, so I'm going to update. So now we're updated. Okay, so that's your histogram. One more thing, we're going to copy the data again. So let's highlight the data. So I highlight column 1. We're going to create a new spreadsheet, another sheet. So we highlight the data, Control-C, add a new spreadsheet, paste the data. And we're going to do one more thing with the add-on. So we're going to add on, start the Excel Miner Analysis Pack, Tool Pack, and we're going to give this descriptive statistics. So we're going to, our input range is going to be the data. So let's highlight the data, which was already highlighted somewhere. We just worked with that, having to re-highlight it. And then you go click here. And it says group by columns, which is true. Labels in the first row. I don't. Let's go ahead and do that. We want the data to be, so let's go all the way to the top on our data. So I'm using this scroll bar here. Let's put the output right there in C1, so we highlight C1, click there. Summary statistics, confidence level, I mean, I don't know what all that stuff means, but the important thing is summary statistics, so we say OK. And so there you go. Here's all the stuff we learned earlier. The mean, 49.88. Standard error, standard deviation is 4.71. How many data points do we have? We have, oh, something's wrong here. I must not have highlighted everything. Let me just undo that for right now. Hopefully you did it right, but there should be 100 data points. So what did I mess up here? It says A1 to A100 labels in the first row. That was the problem. So it didn't count this 39, so that's why we had to get rid of the labels in the first row. Okay, now I'll say OK. Yeah, that matches up with everything we've had before. That was the problem too. The numbers didn't match up. But if you go back, you'll see the mean is 49.77. The median is 50. The mode is 52. The variance, we haven't talked about variance, standard deviation is 4.8. The range, that's the difference between the 62 minus 39 is 23, which is the range. Here's your minimum maximum. There are 100 data points. If you add them all up, you get 497. If you add all these numbers up, you get 4,977. And some other stuff that we haven't talked about. So that's the summary statistics. So the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to name these sheets. So the first sheet was ordering. So we're going to rename ordered. So the first sheet is order. The second sheet was standard deviation calculation. So we'll just say STDD. DEV, standard deviation. The third sheet was Z-score, so we'll rename that Z-score. The fourth sheet was a histogram, right? So there's a histogram, so let's call that the histogram. And the sheet 6, or the reason it's 6 is because I deleted 5, was the descriptive statistics. Okay, so we have order. Actually, this first one was order plus we'll say order, mean, median, mode. Okay, second one was calculating standard deviation, third one was calculating z-scores, third one was calculating histogram, fifth one was calculating the descriptive statistics. So you've still got two things left to do. You have to do the box plot, and then we've got to answer these questions. And I will talk about those in 2 separate videos. So that's it. So then when you're finished, you want to email as an attachment. And let's send it to me not as a PDF, but as a Microsoft Excel. You want to send it to me. And then you'll say Chapter 12 project. And I'm done. And then you say send. So that'll send me the spreadsheet and I can look at it. Okay, so like I said, I'll post one about the box plot and one about answering the questions using normal distribution stuff.